Night at the office. No phone calls, no messages. Nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore. A professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
Afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and for the next hour, you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And don't forget, our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. You can text that like any other number. It appears here on a screen in the studio in real time, and we try to work it into the conversation. Broadcasting from the palatial but not overly ostentatious studios high atop the Carberry Towers in Westboro, Massachusetts. Feels funny to be back in the studio. Been broadcasting from the Cameo Studios for so long. Ted A behind the glass flying the board. He'll get us all set up and into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. I can actually see you now, Ted. So, and I forgot my hat.
Poor
me. I know. Hey, I got a stuff for you.
I'll bring you in one.
Yeah, first time is just back in the WCRN studios. As you know, been broadcasting from other places for a while. But anyway, this thank you very much. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's do some housekeeping and remind folks that the station does stream 24/7 on the TuneIn app like thousands of other radio stations do. So you can take us anywhere. I love that feature. And of course, I do stream the show from the studio here, so you can watch and listen on the station's Facebook page, YouTube channel, as well as my social media platforms at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. And that would be Facebook, X, Torch TV, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, and we do stream live to Rumble. So many ways to listen and watch. And hey, don't forget that the show is turned into a podcast when we're done. So you can subscribe to the Joe Mangiacotti Show wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, etc., etc. So we have an in-studio guest, very cool to have in-studio guest. And let me welcome into the conversation Kathleen Roy. First of all, Kathleen, good afternoon. Thank you for taking time out and coming on down to the WCRN studios.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for inviting me and having me on with you.
Well, I got to tell you, the entire political season is heating up across the board everywhere, and you are currently on the school committee, right? You elected in 2023. You're seeking re-election in 2025 against a couple challenges. We'll get into that. And 23 was your first crack at it, and congratulations.
Thank
you. You have your first term, if you will, under your belt, and let's kind of go from there, because there is a lot of things to actually talk about. And as an incumbent, and I guess it's called District E.
Yes.
District E on the Worcester School Committee, a background in parent organizations, after-school programs. What motivated you to seek the re-election in 2025, and how did the first term shape your approach to representing families in the district?
Well, it's a learning experience.
I'm sure it is.
And one thing you have to memorize is your acronyms, and you have to get very affluent at them.
Government loves the acronyms, right? Yeah.
And I truly, truly love this job. And It's a job. This is my only job.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't split my time with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very active in my schools. I have 11 schools that I represent. I'm always there for my constituents, my families, trying to help them out, try to navigate the system.
Sure.
And I find it very rewarding and very enjoyable.
Okay.
And I'd like to give it 2 more years.
Awesome. Can you educate me a little bit on the whole background here? First of all, how many schools are in the city? Now, I was a Worcester resident for over 2 decades. And during the pandemic, I moved back to the area. I grew up in Framingham a few years ago. I keep saying a couple of years ago, but it's actually, we're 5 years right from 2020 and the height of the pandemic. But the point is, how many schools are in the Worcester school system?
I believe it's about 42
That's
total.
amazing. That's amazing. What kind of budget do you deal with?
Um, this year our budget. You had to ask.
Oh,
me
I'm
that.
sorry.
This year our budget is. We're actually in a good place. I can't give you the exact number, so I'd rather
The
not.
ballpark it
Yes.
if you know.
I'm
Oh,
at a blank. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. We'll figure that out. So, I'm sorry, you said 44?
I believe so in that
44
in that ballpark.
And that's just a mass. I mean, Worcester is the second largest city in New England, right? I mean, we lost it a couple of censuses ago to Providence for a decade, but Worcester's regained its second largest city status in New England, and that's a big school system, and that's a lot of responsibility. And I do want to drill down in some of the specific issues that we're facing in our schools today, and we're seeing problems in schools and just the youth in general, which I'm sure has the school committee, teachers, school administrators scratching their heads or maybe banging their heads against the wall every once in a while. But school safety, right, remains a top priority.
Right.
And I know it does in your platform, including anti-bullying efforts, mental health resources, full-time safety liaison. Can you talk to us a little bit about actions you've taken during your term to implement these, such as addressing school safety audit, or what further steps do you prioritize if you're reelected?
Well, one of the things I would like to see come back is the school resource officers.
Mm-hmm.
We do currently offer, they're called climate and culture specialists. And they are trained to de-escalate problems, and they are trained to work with the students. Mental health is definitely an issue. And we also have to be aware of, there's a lot to be aware of. It's not like when I went to school or you went to school. Some of these kids have
I mean, when they stuck to reading, writing, arithmetic, a little history and civics, and okay.
But a lot of these kids come from they have troubled homes.
Sure.
And
Broken homes and sometimes violence at homes. Sometimes they're not well, nutrition is lacking in the home front. A lot of times we see students that the only time they get some decent meal is lunch or breakfast at school. And these are serious issues and serious problems that we have to deal with, because it's the body, mind, health, soul, all of that has to be.
You can't learn on an empty stomach.
No.
So I'm very happy to say that. And we had a summer program this year where the trucks would go to different parks, and that was breakfast, lunch, and snack.
Okay.
So that was good, that the kids still had continuous meals throughout, even when school got out.
I'm sorry. Explain that to me. I mean, the trucks. The schools don't have cafeterias. There's
Oh,
catering
no, I'm
trucks.
sorry. Just for the summer,
Oh,
they
the summer, I
have
got
like
it.
food trucks
Oh, okay.
that go,
All right.
and they give them breakfast, lunch,
to
snack.
neighborhoods.
Neighborhood parks. Yep.
Oh, I get it.
Yep.
Okay. So depending where your school district is, you would know what park you can go to. And this is all
Exactly.
part of the school lunch program.
Exactly.
All right. See, I'm learning something. That's fantastic. How long has Worcester been doing that? That's
I
fantastic.
believe this is the fourth or fifth year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was obviously something new. I've never heard it. And I mean, that you can't judge me by not knowing what's going on in the Worcester school system, But how'd that come into play? That was just the demand.
Well, like you
and
said,
somebody
a lot of these children, they otherwise wouldn't have anything or be able to eat. How can you play in the summertime without any
nutrition and sustenance?
Right.
And that's and that must have added a substantial budget addition to the budget.
I'm not sure how that is funded, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if it's on a grant program, but I'm just happy it's there.
Absolutely. Folks, remind you that this is the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And our in-studio guest is Kathleen. Do you go by Kathleen? What's your...
I like the name Kathleen.
Yeah.
I like that my mom named me Kathleen, but most people call me Kathy.
Kathy. Okay, so we're okay with Kathy.
Yeah.
All right, Kathy Roy in studio, who is a one-term school committee member and seeking re-election for her second term. And I see that it keeps listing you in all the articles. I see E. So how many is it? School committee seats or like counselor seats that you said you have X number of schools? So how many is it? A through
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, there's no G.
There's
F.
no G.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big district where I am. If you're familiar with Worcester at all, I go all the way from the top of Massasoit, Granite Street, all the way down to Columbus Park area, past Webster Square, and every school in between.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot.
It's a lot of schools. And how many people are on the Worcester School Committee?
There's 8 of us, and the chair is our mayor, Joe Petty.
Okay. So the mayor is by de facto just the chair of it. And the term is 2 years.
2 years.
And they stagger them?
No.
Or everybody's going for reelection?
Everybody's going for reelection for city council.
All right.
And for school committee.
Okay.
So it's every off year.
Every off year. Got it. All right. And you've got a couple challenges to your particular seat. And there's no at-large like there is with city councils?
We have 2 at-large seats.
Okay.
And this time around, there is a challenger. So there are 3 people, but they won't have a preliminary, I believe. They're not listed in the preliminary.
All right. So the primary, I think, is what, September 2nd?
Yes, sir.
And then the general in November?
Yep.
All right. And you don't have to be on a ballot for September 2nd then?
I am.
You are.
There's
you
3
are.
of us.
And there's 3. Okay. Going
so
for
it'll
that
narrow
same
it
seat.
down to 2.
All right. Got it. So the 2, whoever comes. So
First
could
and
you
second.
actually be knocked out on the primary?
I could.
Oh, so these are nonpartisan, of course.
Correct.
Right. So it doesn't matter, but everybody kind of knows where everybody leans. Isn't that usually the case? Yeah. All right. All right, folks. So Kathy Roy is in studio with us. She is a sitting member of the Worcester School Committee and is seeking her 2nd term. And she's hoping you'll help her get there this September and November. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Don't forget our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388, 617-297-8388. It appears here on the screen in the studio in real time. If you have a question for Kathy or you'd like to get in on the conversation, feel free to do that. And don't forget, you can listen on streaming on the TuneIn app and take us anywhere. It's a great feature. If you don't have it, seconds to download it. Punch in WCRN. You'll see our really cool logo. Do me a favor, hit the like button so we know you're there. And then we're very easy to find. And of course, you can watch me on my social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show. All right, we're going to take a quick break, folks. Back in 2 and 10. Stick with us.
Polar Park is the place to play, so treat yourself to a private suite at the best ballpark in AAA. Suite rentals are the best way to enjoy a fully catered and climate-controlled experience at the park. Whether you choose to watch the game from inside of the suite or out in your seats, it's the ultimate experience for a special occasion. Visit WooSox.com or call 508-500-8888 to reserve your suite today.
This is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last, right here on WCRN. Like all business owners, I'm interested in why people choose to work with Boston Independence Group. So I asked my clients. The most common response, Jerry does not try to be all things to all people. Boston Independence Group is specialized, focused solely on retirement planning. My customers enjoy the difference. We do one thing, and we do it exceptionally well. Help other people live better in retirement. That's it. If you're ready to retire or making plans to retire, we can do for you what we've done for hundreds of other retirees throughout New England. Live better in retirement. Just give me a call. I'll show you how. My toll-free number is 877-772-1776. Again, that number is 877-772-1776. And you can visit us on the web at bostonindependencegroup.com. bostonindependencegroup.com.
Life is full of changes. Some we choose, some we don't. But how we handle change, that makes all the difference. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and I'm bringing you Handling Change, a brand new show here on WCRN. Every week, we'll tackle life's biggest challenges and profile a local business or service that can help you navigate them. From career shifts to health, finances, and family. Whatever life throws your way, we've got you covered. Don't miss Handling Change, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Radio Central WCRN 830 a.m., where New England comes to talk. All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Tuesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And reminding you, you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. My in-studio guest is Kathy Roy, who is in her first term as a Worcester School Committee person, seeking re-election for a second term. And there is the primary 3-2 challenges. And we're going to get into them in the dynamics of the race. But what I wanted to do before we did that, Kathy, if we could talk about a couple policies that are floating around there. You know, you've advocated for restricting cell phones, their use of those cell phones in classrooms to minimize distractions. I think that, wow. I mean, that's not overstating it at all, with ongoing debates about technology in education and how you balance this policy with, of course, you've got potential benefits, educational apps, emergency access as well. Have you seen any impacts from related discussions in the committee on this? Where is the city sitting on this right now, and what's your feeling on phones in the classroom?
Well, last when we did the handbook last time around, not this year, was the year before, I voted no, but and to eliminate cell phone use during the day. We lost that vote. I believe it was 6-3. But I just feel strongly that distractions, you could be in the middle of a lesson, and you get a text, you get a phone call, an email. Because let's face it, the phones now are mini computers.
In social, yeah, exactly. Cell phones are not phones; they
Right.
are computers that happen to make phone calls.
Right.
And to think that this phone in our pocket is about 100 times more powerful than the computer that sent men to the moon, right? It's just crazy what's on there. But it's the social media, I think, more than emails or texts, or maybe the texts are in there. The social media, right? People checking Instagram, TikTok, whatever you have going on. What is the argument to allow these phones in the classroom? I mean, after all, since the concept of classrooms came to be,
Right.
we existed for a millennia without any cell phones. So what is the argument that now these kids got to have these smartphones?
Well,
And let's call them smartphones, not just cell phones, right? Because if the parents said, look, you're 10 years old, 12 years old, you get a flip phone, you get a
Right.
basic phone, you don't need all this other stuff. That would solve a lot of the problem, right?
Right.
So what's the argument to have them in the class?
The argument to have them is that they can be used for educational reasons.
Yeah, so can a laptop and a computer.
Well, yes, and the kids have Chromebooks. But that was one of the initial arguments, that we're living in a world that we have to teach the children to be responsible and use the cell phones responsibly, which in theory is great. Doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Yeah. Now the IT people in your school system can actually go in and block Facebook or TikTok, right? So they couldn't access those through the Wi-Fi system.
I'm not sure if that's in practice. That's
Well, why
a really
not,
good
though?
question. I'd really like to find out,
Because
because if we could do that, it would eliminate a lot of the problems.
because when I was the program director at a radio business, right, and I had the IT people, because my problem is, as the boss, I was losing so much productivity. People checking their personal phone, Facebook pages and social media accounts, and I had IT just shut that down. And only certain computers, certain people were allowed there. The people who had to do radio shows, and they need access to that kind of thing. So what about taking because I'm sure they're all running on their Wi-Fi, right? They're not eating up their
Correct.
data,
Right.
So what about just restricting the access to certain websites?
Well, that's something I think I need to put on an agenda coming up, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it would go a long way to it, because now you have, they have the phone, but they can't be checking. I don't know. Kids don't do Facebook anymore, right? Like, isn't that just for people our age now? Kids, they're on the
Instagram,
TikTok,
TikTok.
yeah.
I'm not seeing a lot of younger people on like Twitter or X.
Yeah, I think that's more
like the age bracket 30 and older.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Instagram, though, is instant instant instant. You get to
Yeah,
see everything.
exactly.
Facebook-
Snapchat is the other one I
Facebook,
couldn't think of.
I'm not a big fan. I mean, I have my page that I check,
Mhm.
but I worry about bullying too,
Yeah.
and with the phones.
Yeah,
And-
let's get into the bullying a little bit because look, as long as again, let me go back to the fact that since the concept of a classroom's been invented, I think we've had bullying. Bullying was there when I was a kid. I guess the question for people our age or my age is, were you the bully or the bullied when you were in school? I was always I was Switzerland. I wasn't bullied. I wasn't a bully. God, I hope I wasn't a bully. But I was the kid that I think I was fine with everybody, right? Now, the jocks, the heads, it didn't matter. I was kind of neutral type of thing. But I know, we watched it. I'm sure you watched it as a kid in school, whether you were on the receiving end or the giving end, it's irrelevant. But bullying is a fact of schools, and it would be nice if we can eliminate it. So when we look at bullying today, what's the biggest issue that the school committee is facing on the bully front issue?
Well, we do have some really good policies in place, especially with the guidance of the Department of Education and Secondary Education. It's not tolerated, but there is also peer counseling. So Dr. Menares had brought that in, and I really liked the concept of it. Like the child who's being bullied, they have like a peer panel, and the person who's doing the bullying would be on this panel, not realizing that they were focusing on that person. And then it opens up the door for them to say, well, I don't want to be treated like that. And it opens up their eyes to not want to be bullied. But I mean, like
Okay,
you
so
said,
this is
bullying
interesting. So if there's a bullying situation going on, and here's the problem, right? With bullying, a lot of time the bullied isn't really coming forward.
No, they're afraid to.
They're right. And then it's going to bring more. It's bringing attention. So how does this guys? Usually the teachers catch it, see it, and now you're saying that the concept here is to get the person who's the bully onto this committee without them realizing
Correct.
we're really trying to communicate to you.
Correct.
Okay.
But if a teacher could see it, another student could see it. I mean, I was always.
What's the mechanism to make this known? To administration, anonymous tip?
It would probably be the children or a parent who's concerned about their child's mental health, who's being bullied, is going to call the school and say, I want intervention.
Yeah.
But
and
like
do
you
we
said,
see bullying crossover from the name calling or intimidation to physical?
there have been times there have been physical altercations.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said there
No,
wasn't.
of course. Yeah, there always is. Yeah.
But like you said, I remember being bullied when I was little. But I was also one of those people that if somebody was being bullied, I was
You'd
the
step
type
in.
that would step in.
Yeah.
And I think we need to tell children that don't take out your phone. Tell a parent, tell an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't take pictures.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. I think, Kathy, is today we've got the cyberbullying compounded with any old-fashioned bullying that might go on at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with cyberbullying today is, back in my day, you got bullied at school. It was kind of, you make it through the day, this and that, and then you went home. You got your oasis. You're with your family. You're safe. Today, the bullying can follow them, right? So now you've got that teenage girl or teenage boy, maybe alone in their room, and they're still being subjected to bullying by cyberbullying over, the different platforms we were just talking about. So this now, we're heading to this really like weird gray area because the bullying is now outside of the school, but it's also at the school, and it continues outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
So now you start to say, well, how much can the school control what the hell is going on at home and all of that? How are you, the committee, not you personally, but I'd love your personal take on this. How are you, as the committee, looking at, geez, we've got this whole aspect of cyberbullying to put on top of the physical day-to-day classroom stuff?
Well, the thing about when they're not in school, so many children have developed some serious mental health issues.
Sure.
And some have committed suicide because of cyberbullying. So that goes to it has to be a partnership between home, parents, guardians, and the school, because we can't let children fall between the cracks,
Right.
or let them take their own lives because they're being bullied.
Sure.
And so I think it's really important to keep the lines of communication open
Mm-hmm.
between the home life and the teacher, the principal, the adjustment counselors who take on a lot of that responsibility, and just to we have to watch out for our kids and children. Let's face it, they can be really brutal.
Very
And then
brutal.
sometimes, most of the time though, they outgrow it by the time
Yeah.
because they get to be adults. Some of them do, some of them don't.
Yeah. I just went to my 40-year reunion. And you remember who the bullies were, right? All right. So, you're using some of these terms. First of all, I wanted to go back to the resource officer,
Mhm.
which is the police officer in the school. Is that
Yes.
okay? And why the semantics? Why do we call them resource instead of just saying the school police officer?
Well, sounds better.
Does it though? I mean, who decided it sounded better?
I don't know. I walked in. I have a lot of respect for our Worcester Police Department.
Absolutely.
And the thing that I was crushed about when we stopped having the school resource officers, if a child's had a bad experience with an officer outside of school or family or home or friends, of course they're going to be afraid. They're going to be frightened. But the school resource officers that I know personally,
Mm-hmm.
they were devastated when they were taken out of the schools because they had
Mhm.
established strong relationships
Yeah.
with these children. Read about you in the paper. Great game. Did you get your homework done? Hey, how's everything going at home? Do you want to talk about anything? And
Yeah. See, the frustrating on this thing, Kathy, right? If one child has had some kind of bad experience with a police officer, that should be addressed. Okay. And meaning that if the police officer was out of line or bad, that person, whoever that police officer is, that should be nipped in the bud and removed from the force, depending on the degree of this. I'm the son of a police officer, and I got to tell you, I know that one thing that really bothers police are bad police, right? A rotten
right,
egg.
absolutely.
Because it ruined. Look what it does. Look
Right.
at what's going on here. It ruins the relationship, the reputation, the dynamics, and to remove the police officer from school when they're the ones that should be sought after and keeping the peace. But we got to take our mid-show break here on the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show at AM 830 WCRN. Kathy Roy in studio with us, looking for another term on the school committee. Back in 2 and 10, folks. Stick with us.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spearn. Here's the latest Boston 25 weather on radio 830 WCRN. I mean, it's cooking out there today. We've got another day in the 90s for many local cities. It ends up being a heat wave with this as day 3 of 90-degree heat. Overnight tonight, we're going to fall back into the 60s and 70s. It's warm. It gets a little bit muggy. We've actually got the Perseid meteor shower that ends up peaking tonight. And then tomorrow we'll be at about 91 with even higher humidity levels. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spearn. You can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
Looking for a fuel and food stop that truly stands out? Experience the Yatco difference. At Yatco, we're dedicated to bringing you the best customer service, the highest quality products, and a commitment to making your life on the go easier. Yatco has 15 convenient locations across central Massachusetts, and now our newest spot at 75 Quonsigamut Ave in Worcester. Yatco, where every stop keeps you going.
Building AI Boston is a tech talk for everyone. Listen in to find out why you belong in the conversations shaping our future every Thursday morning, 10:30 Eastern Time on Radio Central AM 830 WCRN.
Every person is entitled to 30 fundamental human rights, and you only need to do one thing to enjoy all of them. Know them. Get your free human rights booklet today. Go to humanrights.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Tuesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here in AM 830 WCRN Radio Central, from the center of the dial, the center of New England, and the center of information, AM 830 WCRN. Reminding you, you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. And joining me in studio is Kathy Roy, who is currently in her first term on the Worcester School Committee. Is it E? And looking for your second term. And hopefully some people will find it in their way to make that happen. You've got the primary, I guess we call it, on the second preliminary on the 2nd of September, and then, of course, general election. Now, going on the break, we're talking about the bully situation. I know this is a huge issue to you, and it's a huge issue across all schools everywhere, because we've had bullying in schools since the concept of classrooms existed. And then, of course, we have the modern day edition of cyberbullying. And now everybody is just a couple clicks from everybody. Like I made reference to earlier, we've got the problem that it follows them home now, and it goes everywhere with them. So with this in mind, and what the school committee is dealing with, and I have a real problem that when they did take the resource officers, I'm going to just say the police out of the school systems, again, who decided that we have to, we're constantly being told that we got to change our language here. But to have the police, to me, first of all, when we've seen things that have happened around the country, it would have been nice if there was a police officer already on scene. And we know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
And the students should know that they are, in fact, and maybe that's why they decided to call them resource officers. They are a resource to these kids. And if the presence of a police officer in the school has caused some kind of anxiety with a student, I think we need to address that. What caused, but that should be handled by a situation basis, and not, okay, the answer to that is to take the police out and therefore put everybody else, because now you don't have a police presence there. Now you don't have the ability to go seek help when needed because you've removed it. And it doesn't make sense to me, right, that this all changes because of one incident with a child. Now, the concept of when I hear, just the idea of police bothers all the kids. Well, why is that? Who caused that? What was the rhetoric that made you do that? Because believe it or not, despite this that we hear about defunding the police, or we're hearing it in New York from a candidate, Mandami, right? All police are racist and so forth. Just enough with that. So how is the Worcester School Committee going to handle bullying? And what are some of your, ideas you're throwing around?
Well, we have to stay on top of it and be
vigilant,
absolutely vigilant, and make sure that, and they do this. I mean, they'll be starting their teacher meetings, getting ready for the first day of school, making sure everybody's on the same page with the rules and, the discipline. As far as if you have a child that's being bullied to the point where they're withdrawing, they're not participating. There's all kinds of signs out there, and our teachers, I have to say, are really phenomenal, and they do a great job at picking up on things like that. So I think we need, as a school committee, to continue to give them the tools, and to make sure that we're encouraging them, and make sure that we set precedent for them to do their jobs correctly, and to continue making motions and agenda items to give them, like you said, more tools to do their job.
Is there any how is there, I guess I should ask that way, what is the reporting mechanism in place? And is there a way, because there might be a student that was like yourself or myself that was going to say something if they saw bullying, but is there an option for them to do that while keeping some autonomy here, so they can,
You mean anonymously
send it in?
They could send to their teacher an email.
Well, that wouldn't be too
anonymous.
Yeah.
Or write it on a piece of paper and say, please, could you look into this?
Yeah.
So-and-so is being bullied. But the problem with anonymity is, a lot of times, if you don't put your name to it,
they don't take it
seriously, or it's just a child who's trying to start trouble for another child.
Sure.
who didn't
Well,
do anything.
look,
So I mean, there's
I
a lot
agree
of
with that, but that has to be weeded out.
yes.
In other words, I think if a teacher or an administrator was to get that piece of paper or get some kind of heads up, to ignore it because it could be that I don't think is very responsible, but look into it. Because if it's happening, a couple questions to a couple of teachers and a little good old fashioned just watch
yeah, yeah.
might solve that mystery.
Right.
You
No,
know,
I
it's a-
totally agree with
yeah.
you that they should be looked into. Nothing should ever be dismissed because you could be saving a kid's life
Yeah.
by saying something.
Yeah. I want to just shift gears for a second because you've highlighted the need to improve life skill programs, right? To
Absolutely.
better prepare students for post-graduation success, whether that's college or trade schools or just going straight into the workforce. What specific expansion, such as career readiness, emotional resilience training, have you supported in your term, and what would you build on with those?
I am a firm supporter of the trades.
Yeah.
And like I've said to, I spoke publicly recently, and I said, without the trades, we don't have a country.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple.
Is it Mike Rowe? He's the guy that was big
I
on
would
this,
love
right?
to have him come to Worcester.
Yeah.
I just can't afford him personally.
Yeah.
But he
Does
has
he-
a
yeah,
wonderful program.
He must have a fee, huh? I wonder if he
a speaking
can do
fee.
that. Yeah.
But I would love to see him come to Worcester and talk to the children.
Yeah.
I mean, auto mechanics, and now it's all computerized.
Oh my
Plumbers,
goodness, you got to be an
carpenters,
engineer, right? Yeah.
Engineers. And the other thing too is with the trades, you have to have very strong math skills.
Yeah.
Your geometry, your algebra. You
Well,
have to have
Kathy,
strong
isn't that
skills.
funny how I mean, back I remember when I was a kid and we had a trade school in the Natick area school system, Algonquin trade, I forget what it was, but the kids thought that if you went to trade, you weren't smart enough to go to regular school, and I noticed back then, even as a kid, I said, wait a minute, it takes a pretty good intellect to be able to be an electrician, to be a carpenter or builder.
Yeah.
What do you think you're building a house from? Memory? You're looking at blueprints. You got to read blueprints. There's a lot of tech involved.
I could never
in
be
that.
a carpenter because I was never a good math student.
And so the house could be crooked.
The house would be very crooked.
or not level at best. Yeah.
I put off taking geometry till my senior year because
Yeah.
I didn't want to take it.
To put it off. So
but,
I think that whole concept but I think, and especially as of late, right, because of people like the Mike Rose out there who have been drilling that home, that look, you don't, in I think we've seen firsthand, having a 4-year degree doesn't necessarily mean that you're A, employable, or B, you're going to be a fantastic employee. We all got the stories about the guy who dropped out of college and started a billion-dollar tech company or something like that.
Right.
You know, and then there's those that may have done the whole school. I didn't go from high school to college. I did my degrees online and part-time over many years, and you still get it at the end, but it's a different path for a lot of people.
Right.
And so,
I think college is very important. If you have, especially if you're driven, kind of know junior, senior, like what you want to major in. I think that's important going in. And with the trades too, there's still opportunities that they can go back to school to get a 4-year degree, especially if they want to open their own business. There's a lot of opportunities, and like you said, you don't have to do it in 4 years. You can do it through the years. So I think the better educated we have for our students, the more successful they're going to be in the future.
Sure. Are there any of these school work programs? I mean, when I was a kid, I remember we had the work study thing, and when we were in high school, we could go get a job, right? At 14, you could get the permit or whatever we had back then.
I don't believe we have that at the
No.
moment.
So
but it's definitely something to look into. But you also don't want to take away from
the school
valuable
academic
time, right?
Yeah. But we've got Worcester Vocational, right?
Yeah.
So aren't they actually doing work and academics there?
Oh
too?
yeah.
Yeah.
In
So-
fact, if you're looking to bring your car to be serviced,
Oh yeah.
you can definitely call there,
Yeah.
make an appointment at the Worcester Technical School. And I also highly suggest, if people haven't checked it out yet,
Mm-hmm.
they have a fully working restaurant. It's
Yeah.
called the Bistro.
Yeah.
The food is amazing. The kids are learning how to run a business, how to cook, how to be sous chefs, how to wait tables, how to.
What's the school? It's not part of Worcester school system. There's a mechanical school up by the old theaters in northwest Worcester. Remember where the old theaters was up there? Greendale, what do they call it?
I'm not familiar with that.
Well,
I have to be honest.
I forget the name of the school, but yeah, the Proctor. I can't remember.
I can't think of it either.
Somebody could text
But
us
it's-
at 617-297-8388. The school, but I've used them in the years because I have antique cars. I love cars, and I would just drop a car off there, and it got to the point that the guy who ran the program would just call her. He says, Joe, you need these things. I'd order them and have them sent directly to the school.
Right.
And they've worked on several of my antique cars over the years. And people say, you really want to trust that today? And here's the thing I'd say, Kathy. So wait a minute. I have 5 or 6 students who are learning this. So they're very, very much grades are dependent. They want to learn this. They're taking their time. They're really doing it. Overseen by a master mechanic and then double checked by the other students and the teacher. Are you kidding me? Because if you take it to a regular mechanic shop, they got volume, right? They got to do the job as fast as they can to get the next billable car in. I'm like, I drop off whether it's the 78 Lincoln or 73 Cadillac Eldorado, whatever I've got. They go bumper to bumper, and everything they do is a lesson, all supervised by a master mechanic.
Absolutely.
I'm like, this is fantastic work.
Yep.
They
And
do
South
great
High
work.
has the diesel program, and I'm 5'4", and the principal took me around, and I was standing there, and the tires are way up here.
Yeah.
But the kids are learning on how to work on diesel engines.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
we
fantastic.
can't get food, clothing, anything from coast to coast without diesel mechanics.
No, it's there's a gap. They talk about AI and so forth. A lot of these jobs can't be replaced by AI. And sure, we might have a truck that will be driverless that can go across the country or what have you.
Not.
But somebody's got to keep that running. And like you said, now just like our phones are now really computers. Our vehicles are becoming computers with 4 wheels, really, and they've got to have the same ability. But we got to take our third and final break here on the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. And Kathy Roy is in studio with us, currently on the school committee looking for her second term. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Back in 2 in 10, folks.
Hi, folks. This is Mike Stacey, head professional at Norton Country Club, welcoming you to the start of the 2025 golf season. Norton Country Club is a championship 18-hole golf course located just minutes off of 495. The course came through the winter grade and we're open for daily fee, as well as having membership opportunities and outings available. Our clubhouse is a great venue for your wedding or group gathering needs. If you're interested, call 508-285-2400, extension 1 for events, or 103 for golf, as well as nortoncountryclub.com. Hope to see you out there.
Are you looking for a holistic approach to your health? One that supports your body's natural ability to regulate, adapt, regenerate, and heal? Look no further. The Bioregulatory Medical Institute, BRMI, a nonprofit global organization dedicated to advancing the science and art of bioregulatory medicine, welcomes you to their free and rich library of resources. You'll find articles, podcasts, videos, and more at brmi.online. BRMI believes health freedom is a basic human right, honoring medical ethics and the innate intelligence of the human body. When your body is properly supported, it will thrive. If you're looking for the root cause of illness, physical, emotional, or spiritual, visit brmi.online. brmi.online.
We invite you to listen to the Jesus is Our Shepherd broadcast with Pastor Ray McMahon.
That I also believe the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. I believe that the fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. I believe Paul was right when he told Timothy.
That's Pastor Ray McMahon with the Jesus is Our Shepherd broadcast right here on this station.
Jesus is Our Shepherd airs every Sunday at noon right here on 830 WCRN.
All right, folks, welcome back for our fourth and final segment here on the Tuesday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, reminding you folks that you can join the conversation for the remainder of the hour, the few minutes we have left here at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. In studio with me is Kathy Roy, who is currently in her first term here with Worcester School Committee, seeking a second term. And it's the part of the show, Kathy, where we got to talk about the race a little bit. I know you'd rather not to, but you do have these challenges coming up, and your voting record aligns with members like Diane Biancarri and Maureen Beninda. And I knew it was her brother-in-law was the state rep.
John, yes, John Beninda.
John
yeah.
Beninda, yeah. And issues like school safety and budgets, of course, but you've also navigated some differences, right? Back in March of this year, that incident with Sue Melman following a discussion on federal education policies. Now, how do you approach the collaboration across these political divides? Like your vote against joining the lawsuit on Trump's Department of Education handling to focus on student outcomes. And she seemed to take a lot of issue with that, huh?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit. Didn't handle it right, but yeah, a little bit.
But I think what you have to stay focused is it doesn't matter what party you're with, or, it really doesn't.
So some of these people seem to have a real problem with the party they perceive you to be. So, and I didn't ask you, I can only assume, but I mean, I thought this was a nonpartisan position.
It's supposed to be.
So shouldn't we be debating the issues on the issues and the merit of the issue and not your political leanings?
Correct.
Yeah. Well,
I
had to say that for the record.
No, I do vote conservatively, and I do vote. I have to put I put a lot of thought, like with the agenda. I look at it beforehand. If I have to do some private research on my own, I go ahead and I do all that. I've been told I'm one of the quieter ones. I like to.
Nothing wrong
listen.
with that.
Well, I like to listen to everybody's perspective.
God gave us one mouth and two ears, Kathy.
There you go. And I'm not going to talk just to hear myself talk. I know if I have something to add,
you
I'm
don't belong in radio.
But the main focus out of the 9 of us is: are we educating our children and keeping them safe? That's got to be the main focus.
That should be a good starting point.
Absolutely.
Right? Ask that question at the
It
beginning of every meeting.
Individuals.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be about how you think. How I do vote conservatively. I mean, there's no getting around it. I do.
But see, to me, a lot of times, and we're seeing this even on the current administration policies, it kind of is parallel to common sense items, right? Just well, geez, the common sense thing here to do is
exactly.
And then you bring in all these, other aspects of it, and you say, well, why are we getting off a track, right? Let's stay on track, back to the core mission that you were just saying.
Exactly.
Are we educating the kids? Are we keeping them safe? Are we giving them the tools to have a good future? That's supposed to be.
Isn't that the goal of every school committee?
It should be, I would think, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what is Miss Mailman's problem? What is she looking to do that you're looking at something? This is common sense. What does she want to do that she thinks you're just so crazy for doing it?
Why don't you have her on the show? You can ask her yourself.
Open invitation. A matter of fact, all candidates, right? And honestly, the invitation goes out to them, because once you've come on, we've got the fair time doctrine. I've given you this time. That means they're all welcome to the same amount of time.
I can't answer for her.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
And it's not my place to either.
But she did kind of harass you, right? You got in her face. There was a suit. You decided to put on the record.
It, I feel very professionally, and just said, I'm not having this conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was angry. She was angry, and you never. I don't believe.
Good to de-escalate. I'm not having the conversation now.
I de-escalated. Correct.
We'll talk when you got controls of your faculties.
Right.
Later. Yeah.
Right. And I changed my party. It was probably about a little over 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't like where things were going. And you didn't feel the earthquake coming out of St. John Cemetery when my mother rolled over?
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. I've said this a million times, and I'm always unenrolled, right? I don't. But I did run for state senate many years ago, and I ran as a Republican. And a reporter asked me about that once. I said, look, I'm Irish and Italian, Catholic in Boston. We're born Catholic.
Remind me never to anger you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And the reporter asked my mom one time, she said, will this be the first time you vote for a Republican? My mother said, you know, it is a private ballot. You close the curtain. I said, Ma, really? So I'm going to have to go here, though. But so back in February, there was a vote on the amend resolution, right, supporting LGBTQ plus and other marginalized students. You voted in favor amid some heated debate on this. How does this reflect your commitment to inclusive education? And as a registered Republican, even though that's not part of this here, facing challenges in this election, what sets your vision for K through 12 students apart?
Again, pretty simple. We have 24,000 children to worry about, each with their own special, unique backgrounds. We have a lot of Black and brown children, the LGBTQ students. We have immigrants that, you know.
And they have their own unique challenges.
Absolutely.
Language barriers sometimes.
So my feeling is if we can't single out one group,
Mm-hmm.
because our job is to protect all 24,000.
Yeah. So we already have these reference our earlier part of the show, right? Bullying is already unacceptable.
No.
And bullying shouldn't be allowed. So what is it that these advocates are trying to say, that special rules for the LGBTQ students?
To be honest with you, I'm
from
not really
there?
sure what the ultimate goal was.
Yeah.
Because like I said, bullying under any circumstances is not acceptable. And especially
Period.
for our LGBTQ students.
Yeah.
Every child has a right to go to school, be educated, have a safe environment, and be able to go home at the end of the day. And
Without
not feel that they
fear
were
or
threatened,
intimidation.
without fear,
Yeah.
without intimidation. And that is our job, is to set the rules, help out with the schools, help out with the superintendent. We have a new superintendent, Mr. Brian Allen, who's I have a meeting with this afternoon.
Yeah.
But our job is to be there to assist them, listen to what our parents are saying, listen to what our teachers are saying, and especially listen to what our children are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our job. We have to protect them, educate them, and make sure that when they leave at 12th grade, they look back and say, wow, they're not all kids are going to do that.
No.
Some kids look back and say, I hated high school. I hated school.
Yeah, when you're in it, you don't get it, right? I think
No.
back of that. I'm like, man, I know my parents told me, adults told me, everybody told me, enjoy this. This is the best time. You don't believe them, right?
Well,
when you're
because
there,
you want to go move forward.
you want to go fast. You want to get your license. You want to get a car. You want money. So you want a job. You want to get out of this, and you don't realize till it's too late. Man, you had it good.
Oh, you did. Well, some children, that's not fair either, though. Some children are the breadwinners. So
Yeah,
some of the
that's
older
true.
kids, they're supporting their mom, or we have to be there as a support system for them too.
Yeah.
And we do have a night program up to the age of 22, which helps these kids, and I'm very proud of that fact.
Yeah.
No, we have to make sure that we're doing our jobs.
Sure.
It's very important that we do our jobs on our end.
Yeah, before we got to wrap up today, I've got to go to, and you've highlighted this, right? The need for budget transparency.
Yes.
And ensuring funds prioritize students and teachers over the administration.
Correct.
And based on your experience on the committee so far, where do you see the biggest opportunities for reallocating, resources in Worcester Public Schools, or in the budget, I should say?
Well, I think, and this is I know some of my colleagues feel the same. We could look at the administration building and see, are we having 5 or 6 people like doing the same job, or who are
Redundancy within the system, sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think we need to look at that. I know personally, if I could, I'd give all our teachers raises,
Mm-hmm.
and our para-educators too, because they work hard.
Yeah. Do you think the Worcester school system is administration top heavy?
I'm going to wait and see how this new administration plays out.
Yeah.
But yes, when I first came on, I definitely did. And there was an item on the agenda to move $500,000 from administration so that we didn't lose teachers, and it was not voted for, and we ended up losing 18 teachers.
But the administrators, they all kept their jobs.
Mhm.
Interesting. So,
And
again-
I'm not saying that because I don't like the
No, no,
administrators
but
or the
the
people that work for them. It's
Yeah.
just that we got to take care of everything else too.
Right. And do we know what the ratio of student to teacher is right now?
It's supposed to be 21-1.
Okay.
There are some
Are we
classes
on
with
that
a little
target?
bit more. Well, we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting there. There are some classrooms that have more.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I look, the word budget transparency is, to me, says it all, that it should be very transparent. And I think people are electing you to represent them on the school committee and to ask those questions and to say, aren't we better off with the more direct, teachers to student ratio than heavy on the administration? But we've got a couple minutes left. So
can I say one thing to that?
Yeah.
I've been door knocking, and even people who don't have children or their children are grown,
Yeah,
they ask, "What are you doing with my tax dollars?"
of course I do.
That question gets asked a lot.
Sure. What are
So-
some of the other feedback you get when you door knock?
Well, I had one gentleman over the weekend who was so funny. He was telling me we need to teach kids how to change tires and fill their
Yeah.
tires up with air. And I was thinking about it. I was like, he has a really good point.
I have this civil abyss I worked on for a long time. I call it Life 101. And I think that every high school should have this program. And this covers everything from changing tires, checking oil to checking accounts, how to open one, how
Yes.
to balance it. How about life insurance?
Yep.
Renter's insurance. When you
Absolutely.
find out about renter's insurance, when you renting, you have a fire or a break-in, then you find out there's something called renters. So all this life stuff that you learn your first 10, 15 years out of school.
Right.
If we could put this, and I've done this, I've had
Oh, and
this
somebody
syllable.
one
Yeah.
parent said, "Hey, why don't you teach the kids how to do the stocks?"
Yeah.
And
Investing, savings, credit. Teach in high school. Learn how credit works.
like old-fashioned
before.
business math.
Exactly. But we're running against the clock. Where can people go to your website? You're not big on the social media, but do you have your Facebook?
Yes, I have a Facebook page. It's called Kathleen Roy Supports Worcester Schools. I have a website, www.KathleenRoySupportsWorcesterSchools.com. And if you would like to get a hold of me through texting, please feel free to call 774-312-4205.
Roll that again.
774-312-4205.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap up the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Joe out, folks. Enjoy your day.
Headline news, weather, and local information. 830 WCRN.
This is a radio replay.
The following program is sponsored by Frankie Boyer, who is responsible for its content. Before beginning any health or fitness practice, consult your personal physician.
You're heading for a breakdown. Why don't you put this up to pieces?
Keeping you healthy from coast to coast, this is the Frankie Boyer Show. Frankie Boyer Show.
There's some very strange people practicing medicine these days.
This is the Frankie Boyer Show.
Medically impossible.
Your voice for healthy living.
And welcome. It is Frankie Boyer. And nurse and integrative health coach Kathleen Bierkens was with us last week and opened up, by the way, the author of Your Creator Matrix, and opened up a conversation about something that many of us know nothing about, glycoscience. And she really feels that this is the missing link. And she started to talk about glycans and the importance of glycans. We have talked about epigenetics. We have talked about nutrigenomics, but we don't talk enough about glycoscience. And for those of you that were not here last week or missed it, this is an amazing show. And it really was, Kathleen. Welcome back. I'm so thrilled that we got you back.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're on vacation, and I'm so excited though that you were willing to come back. But for those that missed it, can you give us you talked about the fruit on the tree and why the sun, the side of the fruit that got the sun was a better fruit. And explain to us about the difference between glycation and glycan, and is there a difference? And we have so much to talk about, because I know a lot of us were scratching our heads saying, what is this conversation about?
Okay. So basically, what I've learned in many years studying is there is a science that explains how our cells, how important they are, how our cells communicate with each other. And actually that's huge, because if we don't have cell communication, we have illness. We have miscommunication. We have things start going wrong and breaking down in the body. You can compare it to a computer. If you are online with a computer, you can get online, you can connect, right? You can understand, you can get information. Well, the same is with this whole network of electrical magnetic currents in the body that communicate through these glycans. These are crystalline sugars. They are not sugars that are sweet that we are used to. They're not really sweet like what we think of sugar. We think of sucrose or, fructose or something that we eat that is immediately raising our blood sugar. These are sugars that are more functional. They create structures on the outside of our cells, and these structures are like the beard. They're on the cell membrane. They're all over the body, but they're particularly very important on the cell membrane. And they're involved in recognizing self, who is you. Like every cell needs to know that everything in the body is from you or it's dangerous, right? So the body's constantly online checking, oh, what is this? Is this a virus that could hurt me? Is this okay? Some viruses are good for us, believe it or not. Is this a bacteria? Is it a good bacteria? Is it a dangerous bacteria? Is it a toxin? Is it a dangerous toxin? Does it need to be taken out? Is it a food that needs to be taken into the cell? Is it energy? Is it, the body's checking constantly. Is this a hormone? What is going on in the body? What do we need? What does the body need right now? Who am I? So the body's constantly checking. And when the body's online, like your computer, you get a good cell communication. Everything's fine. Everything's recognizable. When it's offline, we get miscommunication. We don't do the right thing in the body. We don't recognize cancer cells. Our immune system goes rogue. There's all these problems that occur when our cells are not communicating properly. Now, is it only the glycans? Of course not. But they're huge. They're a huge component. And we need to talk about them because we need to understand how our cells function. And so we do need, macronutrients. We need to eat the major nutrition groups that help build healthy cells. So I always say there's two components to health and wellness. One is on all levels of your creator matrix, on all levels of body, mind, and spirit. But let's just talk about the body. So just physically, let's look at the physical component. If we look at macronutrients, just physically, they are proteins. We have to take in enough pure protein. We have to take in enough fats, good fats. We need to take nucleic acids in for our DNA, and we need to take these glycans in. Now, why don't people know about that? That's the question. And I learned about this many years ago. I've been studying it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. What's so disturbing to me is that this new glycoscience is so new that we're not hearing about it yet. And it's really the missing piece in the pie. And this is so disturbing because we're not getting all the information. So it's when you get the information that you can make the right decisions. And many people think it's the stem cells that we're missing, or, we don't really have a clue of how the orchestra of the cells work.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what it is. I like how you said the orchestra. We talked about that last week. So imagine that a stem cell is a pure cell. It's a cell that's not differentiated yet. It's pure. It doesn't have a job. Let's say it doesn't have a job. So it isn't necessarily a pancreas cell or a liver cell. Well, what is the initiator of that stem cell like, let's say you have a terrible automobile accident and your body needs to make a lot of new cells. Well, it's those glycans that are going to know that there's a major calamity going on in the body and you're hemorrhaging, so the body has to pull out the troops, get stem cells wherever they can, whatever they can do to start building cells quickly because you are in trouble. So no matter what happens to us, if we are preventative and we take care of our body and we understand what our body needs, and it's not just the glycans, that's just one element, but it's a huge one. We need to make better choices, not only with our nutrition, but with all of the things that influence our body, spirit, emotional complex. Like, it's all one. We're not, we think it's all separate parts. Like, oh, the physical has no connection to the emotional, or the emotional has no connection to the mental. They're all connected. And every day, what we do and how we think and how we feel and how we nurture ourselves and how we, what decisions we make will influence our tomorrow. So it's not that we should worry, but you're right. We need to have proper information to make better choices. And I think that, one of the issues on this planet is that the food is not what it should be anymore. And we need to, as a society, make a decision that we're going to make that a priority for our kids. Like, we're going to say, yeah, go ahead, Frankie. Yeah, so this is important, that food does matter.
Yeah. So the supplements that you recommend there are actual supplements called Glucan, but is that the name of them?
Yeah, so there's supplements on the market to get extra glycans in your body. And there are also foods, there are foods that you can eat that have more of these glycans. So you can, but I think it's one of those things that everybody, we need to, like, if you look at all the major universities, if you go to Harvard or Johns Hopkins or any of them, they all have a glycoscience department. Why? Come on. We have to ask questions. All tech companies, all pharmaceuticals are studying them. Why? Because they're important.
It's the future. That's why it's the future of longevity. It's the key to longevity, isn't it?
It's definitely one of them. I mean, we have got to be online. Our bodies have to be efficient, and our cells have to communicate properly, period.
So the efficiency of our cells are critical. And when we come back, we will continue this conversation. I want to go down that road about the efficiency of our cells and how we can upgrade our DNA. And what are the stories that we're telling our DNA? Because that's also an important part of it. What is that story you're telling your DNA? Are you never going to get well? Well, we've got to take a quick break. Her book is out. I just love this conversation. I'm just loving it. Your Creator Matrix. And Kathleen, what's the best website?
wellnessrevolution.com.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Frankie Boyer.
fuels an award-winning author, a father of newborn twins, and a life full of unforgettable stories? Energy, focus, and lots of upcut mushroom coffee. Hey, I'm G.C. Brown, award-winning novelist of Snip. My journey has taken me from the farm fields of Indiana to the diamond fields of Africa, through the stark solitude of a federal prison cell, and back to a life filled with purpose. Throughout all these experiences, my quest for energy, clarity, and health has never wavered. That's why I co-created Upcup Coffee, a ground, functional mushroom coffee designed for those who demand the edge in life. Infused with lion's mane mushroom, NAD+, and shilajit, Upcup Coffee sharpens focus, boosts energy, and helps to keep your best foot forward. Try it today. Order now at Upcup Coffee, coffeewithak.com, or find us on Amazon. And be sure to grab my debut novel, Snip. Start upcupping today. Upcup Coffee, more life in every cup.
Hi, Frankie Boyer here, and I have one important message for you. Listen up. Vitamins are not as effective unless required mineral cofactors are present, and they're